when Richard was serving as president, of course it was a very strenuous day in and day out, and sometimes we would go by and see Aunt Irma. And she was so good to us. And the minute he hit her apartment, he just he would just pass out and sleep because it was so strenuous doing what he was doing. And Aunt Irma was always so good to fix us good meals, and when we were there, and she and Ralph was still alive there for a short while we were there, and they were wonderful. And I remember your grandmother Olive. She was a special lady. I remember her vanilla ice cream. Everyone can remember it. And Ruth is something else. Your mother was an icon to us. She was wonderful. We have many wonderful blessings and memories of Olive and Ruth and Elaine and Vard. We have many fond memories of Irma, even after she moved from California to St. George. We would oftentimes, we would go down to Arizona to see our daughter. We'd always stop and see Aunt Irma and visit with her, and we just had a very special relationship with her. We loved her dearly, and then we particularly also loved Olive. When we were living in Salt Lake, we would go and see Aunt Olive and visit with her. And I can remember her popping her, what was it that she took for her heart? It was
nitroglycerin.
Nitroglycerin. I could never, ever imagine someone taking nitroglycerin into your body. But she did. This was part of her medication for her heart. And like I say, when she passed away, why these two trunkfuls of not trunks, but two suitcases full of memorabilia from her father were brought to us. She felt that we would preserve it, and it's downstairs. I didn't know Lorenzo too much. He was there, but we visited more with Olive.
Can you tell us any more memories about Olive?
Oh, I can remember what a marvelous gardener she was, and she'd do it all by herself. and you'd help her. No, but I remember her showing us how she would plant her flowers. She'd put a little bit of manure in the hole, and then she'd put her flowers in. And she had a beautiful yard. She kept a lovely yard. I just remember going to her home there on is it Gilmer?
Yale.
Well, Yale, but she was at one time they were on Gilmer. But it was on Yale Drive that we would go. Oh, I think Aunt Olive was a devout member of the church. I think she had a testimony of the church, and I knew Aunt Grace more than I knew Aunt Olive, actually, because of the fact that we were executors to her estate. And I don't think Aunt Olive was at our wedding reception. Well, we didn't have a reception. Uncle Harold, we were. I think we had $50 in the bank when we were married, and Uncle Harold paid for the luncheon that they gave at the dollhouse. Do you remember the dollhouse on Main Street? And but it's no more. Those are all things of the past.
Why don't you tell us what you know about Elaine and Bard?
Elaine and Vard were very special cousins to Richard. We would have these cousin reunions, and I can remember going to their place for cousin reunions, and it was always, your mother was the best cook. She knew how to do things in the way of culinary arts. She was wonderful, And of course, Maxfield Candy, Richard had him as he sold them business forms. And so we kept in contact with him that way. And your father, of course, was so talented in music. And I think, well, Aunt Olive sang for the choir too, didn't she? Did your mother never did she? But Aunt Olive sang for the Tabernacle Choir. But it was interesting to me how this musical talent has come down through the Nixon family. I think it was also in the Hickman family too, so you got a double dose. Frank, I think that's how they met, wasn't it? Was through big vocal, a duet together. Uncle Willie took care of us when Richard was in school. I can remember I had problems with my back, and Uncle Willie taped me up with great big, I think the adhesive tape was that wide, and he taped my back. He called it lumbago that I had. It seemed to help. So when you're in school, it's trying to struggle through school. You don't have money for doctors. So Uncle Willie took care of us when we needed it. Richard has been very fortunate in his family in the fact that the first cousins, there were a lot of them, that they were all very close, and they met periodically, once or twice a year. Well, I've got pictures that I can show you. I've got an album that we've taken through the years. They've met, for 20, 30 years or more on a regular basis. Now they're down to, first cousins, I think they're down to, maybe 5 at the most. There's Richard and Phyllis and Jack, and Jack's family, of course, they were the younger. There was Dorothy Dean and Karen, so there's 5. But I think, and the DeVerl. Bill's gone, so DeVerl, that's 6. So, and there used to be up above 20.